Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson wants the rich to pay their fair share and was recently asked if she's concerned the new tax could lead to wealthy people and businesses abandoning Washington.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown. And if, the ones that leave, bye.
Nearly a quarter of businesses are now considering leaving the state. That's according to a report from the Association of Washington Business. It found the state's employers are growing more pessimistic about the direction of the economy and looking to exit the state because of the rising tax burden. Over 400 employers were surveyed and 24% said they're looking to move their business. That's up from 17% in the previous quarter.
And rich Washingtonians are already on the move. Founder of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, moving out of Seattle and headed down to Miami.
It's going to be tragic for our economy and for our businesses, especially. The state income tax will give our business nowhere to escape, unfortunately. And so they're going to start most likely moving out of state. We've already seen Starbucks start moving to Tennessee. Microsoft has closed some of their Seattle offices. Amazon has shut down expansion in Washington.
For somebody in a home worth $1.5 million or less would be a tax reduction. As you go north of that, it gets a little higher. And when you're, off into Bezos and Gates land, it's probably a little over 50 grand more a year.
Republicans are staunchly against the proposal. They say the millionaire's tax will also apply to married couples who earn $1 million a year combined, not $1 million each.
Goes to our point that this is not just intended on people who make $1 million a year. Already when they introduce the bill, it will hit people who make $500,000 a year if their spouse also makes that much. It's only a matter of time until that applies to folks with lower and lower income.
Headline reads, Seattle's most expensive home listing slashes $30 million from $75 million down to $45 million as wealthy flee income tax. This is in Seattle. Mayor Wilson is saying bye to millionaires. You know what they're saying? Goodbye right back to her, and can't come fast enough. Let's check out this listing. Here we go. So a little background. This is the Denny Blaine neighborhood. This is red dot here, right? Oh, can't see it. Too far off to the right. Let's see if I can move this map over for you. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. Here you've got Howell Park. That is also a small nudist park. This is, and you got Denny Blaine Park. That is the park where they've had the fence go up, a bunch of guys jacking off on just absurd. Just absurd, right? The whole, we put a fence up and told everybody that we're going to be naked. Just a bunch of whacked out weirdos masturbating. That's what it is. These two parks. Howell Park, not as much. It's a smaller park, but, these are basically run by the LGBTQ+. And we all know that typically it just, morals go downhill. So this home is in between. This home is close enough where guaranteed its owners were, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basically parcels in between Denny Blaine Park, where all the real action is, in Howell Park. And then Kurt Cobain killed himself. I think this was his house right here. Had a detached kind of carriage house or garage with a greenhouse over the top, and he, allegedly took his head off with the shotgun up there. So this is a storied history, but this is also some of the most prime real estate in all of Seattle. You got Madison Park just up to the north. And it's 100% prime. Over to the west, you've got Medina. You've got literally looking due east. You've got Bill Gates right in here. He's northeast 14th or 17th. He's right in here. So I mean, this is some epic stuff. And the home, it's a nice looking home. And these photos are all in public domain now. So let's just take a quick peek. It's a waterfront home looking east. Yeah, it's big. It's like 12,000 square feet. There's the view. So it's looking due east back. That's the Bellevue City skyline there. And then beyond there, you've got the Cascade Mountains. Epic east sunrise. And then you've got the lake here. The hydrofoil races happen just a little bit further off to the right. Epic setting. One of the greatest waterfront settings in Seattle. But you got these two nude beaches, and you've got, little thing called the millionaire's tax, right? And so these people are absolutely dumping their real estate. When you go from 75 down to 45, that's a haircut. That's a haircut. That's a big haircut. Look at all the ivy on that. That's a lot of ivy. And you got your own little terrace up on top, Romeo and Juliet or whatever, Rapunzel. Okay, we got some interesting stuff on the inside. I don't really care about rich houses. To me, I fought so many appraisals where people thought their homes were worth more than they were, and they just weren't based on the data, that when I see a super nice house, all I think of is, in the appraisal process, having to go through and identify all the stuff that creates value here. You got a dock, probably with a boat lift. You got a shoreline that's probably been permitted 10 ways from Sunday. You've got walk-up terraces, big lap pool, hard surfaces like no tomorrow, landscaping, millions in landscaping. Got to document all that. The views, do they include a picture? Do they include the Seattle city skyline? Nope. Bellevue city skyline, though. And you can watch traffic on 520 up here and off to the right. You can watch traffic on I-90 because you're right there and you've got those kind of views. So, yeah, is it a cool house? Is it $45 million? These things, who knows? But, who's going to be jumping at buying a $45 million house when you've got a millionaire's tax coming to the state of Washington? One way or the other. It's going the wrong direction. That's the bottom line. Things are going the wrong direction. Is this a situation where the owner literally just needs to get out? Or are they seeing kind of the foreshadow of what's happening? Yeah, any one of those, I think you just go with, well, yeah, rich people are getting out, and I don't really blame them. Seattle's most expensive home listing just slashed its asking price by 30 mil. 40% cut might say something more about Washington's income tax exodus than it does about one waterfront mansion in Denny Blaine. 12,000 square foot, 5-bedroom, 12-bath estate. Why do you need so many gosh darn bathrooms? You see this on these luxury estates. Are people just going in there and, can I use your restroom? I'm not going to stay, but, can I use your restroom? Yeah, you need to have two bathrooms per bedroom. Oh, what? Whatever, right? I know that's the thing, but if you got more than a couple of bathrooms, that's more than a couple of toilets to clean. I'm a hard no-go. Just, minimalist. Just live your life. Don't have to pay for a janitor to come through and, we used that bathroom once, but let's go ahead and clean it again. So 128 East Lake Washington Boulevard, linked to developer Bruce Bloom, relisted Thursday for $45 million. Okay. Jeff Bezos sold his house for what? 63 million and change. But this is Seattle. So Bellevue has bested Seattle by a lot. Now this started off at 75 million. Now it's down to 45. That kind of tells you, all right. And this, the listing agent is one of Seattle's premier listing agents. And they probably said, well, if you want to get this thing done quickly, here's what you got to do. Oh, could you imagine a $30 million price cut? Now, I've been working on a listing in Seattle with my real estate agent, broker, works for Summit, independent contractor with Summit, as they all are. And we're talking price, drops of 25, maybe 50 grand on a listing that went live yesterday or the day before, something like that. We're not talking about millions. Hey, how much should we cut it? What about a $10 million price cut? $10 million? Oh my word. No. All right. How about 30 million? And it's at that point you realize 10, 20, 30 million, it doesn't really matter. They just want to get out. They just want to get out. They want this to no longer be associated with their primary residence in Washington state. They're like, we're done. we're gone. We're going. Price is 40% less than the original $75 million the property sought in 2025. Home still ranks as the second most expensive residential listing in the state, trailing only the Olson Kundig designed Triptych estate in Bellevue. I think that's Hunts Point, which has fallen from $79 million to $65 million. Wah, wah, wah. $14 million drop. Yeah. But nobody that can afford a $65 million house is lining up going, oh yeah, this is a good idea. This makes a lot of sense. No, they're getting the heck out of Dodge, right? When Howard Schultz and when the gaming guy, I forget what his name was, and Jeff Bezos, all billionaires, when they're all like, yeah, I'm going to go join my family in Florida. Yeah, we're really ramping up in Tennessee. Oh, yeah, I got to go. We got to go to Nevada. We got to go to wherever, away. That's what they're doing, away. $30 million haircut in a single home is the kind of number that will normally attract the attention of Washington Democrats. It will not. They have spent the better part of a year insisting the state's new 9.9% income tax would not chase anyone out, even as the luxury market keeps telling a different story. Now, I know we heard the day after the income tax passed, or was signed into whatever, luxury listings absolutely spiked. That is true. But everything has spiked. Listings have spiked in general because buyers, with the pricing that things are at, with interest rates at 6.5%, a lot of buyers have been priced out of the marketplace that could have been able to afford, and they are kind of waiting for things to get back to 6% or under. And that's a lot of what I'm waiting for as well with my home, because I fall into that category of buyers on my home. They're going to have so much more purchasing power if you can get rates down to 6. And I think they will get there. Just a matter of when. I think it'll either be this fall or next spring. You'll have a dip at some point. We always do, right? The Bloom Estate is no fixer-upper. It features 5 bedrooms, 12 bathrooms, 12 fireplaces, outdoor pool, a spa. Who cares? 160 feet of waterfront. All right. Private dock, geothermal and photovoltaic systems to trim energy costs. Oh, the energy costs on a home like that, just heating a home like that, where it's all stone and marble and massive vaulted ceilings, right? Super expensive. You're not doing this with solar. This ain't a solar listing, baby. Jane Jones, owner of Real Logic, Sotheby's International, told the Puget Sound Business Journal the sky-high asking prices often work as a market test before reality sets in. Hey, let's see what happens. And that's what we're working on the Summit side of things. We've got a lot of listings that have sellers who we've worked through a number of them that were aggressive. They were aggressive with their pricing, meaning it was too damn high. And so we've had to kind of work them through bringing it down. Some of them just took their properties off the market and said, no, I'm going to take my toys and I'm going to wait for a better marketplace. And you're like, okay. Sometimes that happens. Others have reduced, and when you get to a certain price point, the home sells. Weird. And then start back up here. Sometimes the aspirational prices are successful when you've got a really hot market and there's no inventory. This is not that market. And specifically, the impact of policy specifically targeting wealthy people. Hey, we'd like you to pay for all of our generous social welfare programs. Do they have that in Texas? No. All right. What about Florida? No. How about Arizona? No. Nevada? No. Idaho? No. Why wouldn't I go there? Why wouldn't you? Other times they generate headlines, but no offers. Yeah, you see those listings come out and you're like, that's never going to sell, but it gets a bunch of articles written about it, right? And people are like, oh, look at this listing. Yeah, look at it. It's really high. Yeah, it's never going to go anywhere. Bring that bad boy down by 30, 40, whatever. What percentage was this? Dropped 75 down to 45. Was it 30? 30% drop? Yeah, where's that now? 40% less. 40% less. That's nuts. So People who can write a $75 million check are still shopping. A growing number of them are shopping somewhere other than Washington. They're shopping in Florida. They're going to Florida in droves. Luxury listings statewide jumped 65% overnight after Governor Bob Ferguson signed the income tax law into March. Okay, we talked about that. Inventory surge has not let up. Well, some of that has to do with you've got a period where people are putting their homes on the market and they're not being purchased. So inventory is up, and inventory is up everywhere. We still have less than 4 months supply, meaning if everything stopped coming on the market, it would take a little over 3 months right now to clear everything out. That is still known as a buyer's market. 4 to 6 months is average days on market in a normal market to clear everything out. 4 to 6 months. King County luxury listings above 2 million climbed nearly 84% year over year through mid-May. Not a shocker. Not a shocker. Biggest names already voted with their feet. We've got Rich Barton, Zillow. I forgot about Rich Barton. We got Rich Barton. You got the dude from Bellevue. You got Jeff Bezos. You got Howard Schultz. All Rich Barton and the other dude are like low billionaires. Yeah, they've only got $1 billion. So, I mean, you put $1 billion, so you got 1,000 million, and then you drop your price by $30 million. You know what I mean? Let's get out. Hey, let's drop it and let's get out. We don't care. Don't really care about the house. What's more important is our tax liability and getting the F out of Dodge. Biggest names already voted with their feet. So Jones still calls the luxury market strong, pointing to a 333% surge in pending sales this June and waterfront volume up 600%. Well, because there aren't very many of those properties, and when 1 or 2 pop, your statistics go to the moon. So you've got movement because people are wanting to dump this stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is good for the marketplace. This is indicative of you've got wealthy people making some moves. And if you are a diehard for Washington State and you are, I don't really care, but they can tax the F out of me. I don't really care. You know, like some of those numbnuts that are out there. If you're one of those, hey, getting a bargain. This is great. It's only $45 million. Oh, this is epic. Hey, can I get $2 million in seller paid concessions along with that? Can I get $2 million? Yeah, they're going to come in and pay cash, right? Because nobody in their right mind is going to lend on this. Let's see, a single family home, $45 million. Let's go 20% down. We got you got $9 million. All right, and we're gonna lend you the rest on one home. No, it just doesn't happen, right? Doesn't happen. You got to have some kind of asset to go after. It's not a house, so those always get paid in cash. So you got saying the luxury market's strong. He may be right. The repriced trophies are moving again. The catch is in how they get there. Sellers are not winning bidding wars at the top anymore. No, that is not happening. You got to have your home priced adequately, meaning it's got to be where the buyer's kind of right in that range based on the data. And if you're not, that bad boy is sitting. So this one they had on the market before the holidays last year, and guaranteed there was a discussion of, hey, let's bring it on in spring. Well, then in February, we had, second week in February, you had the Iran war come up, right? Kind of just killed the market. And these folks probably were going to put it on then, catch the spring market of 26. They didn't. And now they've done that price drop. And now they're looking at listing it before the holidays again and see what happens. They're cutting tens of millions until the few buyers left in Washington State decide the discount is worth the tax bill. That is literally what is going on. You've got a situation where the people who are going to stay are going to be like, yeah, I'm okay with, being taxed to the absolute hilt. I'm okay with being taxed up here because I think the Welsh should pay their fair share. You see those people. Wonder what kind of conversations they have with their financial planner. You know what I mean? Let's see. You want to get taxed more? Why don't you just write me a check? Just give me a check and I'll just go blow it on a Ferrari or whatever. You know, I'll blow it on a vacation to wherever. Just let me take your money, because giving it to the government? Oh, no, especially the government, Seattle, King County, Washington State. Who's going to want to do that? Nobody that's worked hard for their money. And that's what the vast majority of these folks are people in industry, people who have started businesses, people who started Amazon, people who started Starbucks, people who started, whatever big business it might be. In Bellevue, it was a gaming company. Zillow, an example of real estate / tech. And that's not even really a real estate. That just drives eyeballs into Zillow. And they've got the Zestimate, right? We all talk about it. Hey, what does Zillow say your home is worth? And even though no home has ever been financed with the Zestimate, right? Just no. Conversation point. It's a talking point. You talk about it. Well, my home is on Zillow for, I need to contact them because mine's way less. Those are conversations that we have to have as real estate professionals with home buyers and home sellers. But Zillow said, Zillow is, an AVM. Zillow is a computerized model that may or may not be correct. And on properties that are unique, like this one, can you imagine? Zillow probably had it at 75 million. Now is Zillow going to drop it down? Well, it's only worth 45 million. It's got a $30 million haircut. Is Zillow going to do that? Who knows? But those companies and their owners, they are leaving, and they are leaving in droves. Like Katie Wilson said, I think the exodus of the millionaires in Washington State is overblown. And for those that do, bye. Well, yeah, they are literally saying, well, can't get our house in the market soon enough. And when we do, massive price cut. Because if things were still solid, if we were still a $75 million market, they're not going to leave that money on the table. But instead, they're like, oh, no, we got to go. We got to get out in front of this, meaning we got to absolutely cut bait and go. And that's what that kind of price drop reflects. I think even, I was going to make another comment. We've had a fair number of sports figures. Sports figures kind of come and go that dump their homes. One of them was Seattle Mariners catcher, and just to the south of me, kind of here in East Bellevue, he sold his home for $3 million. And I'm like, God, that's a lot of money. New construction home, $3 million. But we're in a different price range here, up at 35 million, 45 million, $30 million price drop. I mean, those are different numbers. Those are wildly different numbers. And the people that can afford those, they are not going to get caught with their pants down paying a whole bunch of taxes. So if they got to dip out by $30 million, then that's what they're going to do. And that's what the Democrats don't really understand. They don't really get this. And even if they do, they don't really care. They're like, okay. Just, not thinking it through. All right, well, if enough of these folks leave, enough of them take their businesses with them, and they take their ownership, and they take all their philanthropy, and they take everything else, we're not going to have anybody of substance left except for the Somali fraudsters and the trans community and the LGBT community, because Lord knows they're strong in Seattle. Just had Pride weekend. Ugh, just some guys riding around on their bicycles with their dongs hanging out. How is that pride? You're naked. You got a bunch of kids at a parade and you're out there naked. Just, here's my dong. Nuts. And that's what the wealthy homeowners are saying too. This is nuts. We're out of here. We're gone. Sayonara. Bye. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for joining. Love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.